You were told that hard work was the answer. Work harder than everyone else. Stay late, wake up early, put in the hours, and the money will follow. That is what most people were taught. But here is the thing nobody told you. The hardest working people in this country are not the wealthiest people in this country. They are the ones cleaning office buildings at midnight. They are the ones standing on concrete floors for 10 hours. They are the ones running 3 jobs and still unable to afford a single emergency. Hard work is not the problem. Hard work is just not enough. And in this video, I am going to show you exactly why. If you are watching this, you already sense something is off. You have worked hard. You have done what you were told. And yet the financial gap between where you are and where you thought you would be keeps widening. That feeling is not a personal failure. It is a signal. Here is what we are going to cover. I am going to show you 10 specific reasons why hard work alone will never build wealth. Not effort, not dedication, not hustle. The reasons go deeper than that. And by the time we reach number 10, you will understand exactly what separates the people who stay broke from the people who build real, lasting financial freedom. Let us begin. Here is the problem most people never see clearly. The bottom 50% of American earners hold less than 3% of the total wealth in this country. That number has barely moved in decades. These are not lazy people. These are not people who failed to show up. These are people who worked incredibly hard and still ended up with almost nothing to show for it, because effort and strategy are not the same thing. Working harder inside a broken system does not fix the system. It just makes you more exhausted inside of it. Number 1, time is the asset. Labor is not. Your employer does not pay you for your time. Your employer pays you for a portion of the value your time creates for them. The difference between those two things is where wealth accumulates, and it accumulates on their side of the equation. When you trade hours for dollars, you are selling a non-renewable resource. The moment you stop working, the income stops with it. Picture this. 2 people start the same job on the same day. One spends every extra hour working more. The other spends every extra hour learning how to make money work without them. 10 years later, the first person earns a higher salary. The second person earns a higher net worth. Labor is rented. Ownership compounds. Number 2, your employer bought the upside. When you accept a salary, you accept a ceiling. Your company may generate $10 million. From your contribution this year, you will receive 40,000 of it. This is not unfair. This is the structure you agreed to. Business owners and investors absorb the risk and absorb the reward. Employees absorb the safety and absorb the limit. Picture this. The person who owns the coffee shop earns based on how well the business runs. The person who works the register earns based on how many hours they stand at it. One income scales, one income stalls. A salary is not compensation for your worth. It is compensation for your predictability. The upside was never yours to begin with. Number 3, inflation is a raise erasure machine. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. Even when you get a raise, you may not be getting ahead. If inflation rises at 4% this year, and your raise was 3%, your purchasing power actually decreased. You earned more. You can afford less. This is not a bug in the system. This is the system. The people who protect against inflation do not do it by working harder. They do it by owning assets that rise with inflation. Real estate, equities, index funds, things that grow when prices grow. Picture this. Your coworker gets a 3% raise and immediately increases their lifestyle to match. You get the same raise and immediately invest the difference. 10 years later, the same pay. Completely different financial lives. A raise without a strategy is a lifestyle upgrade in disguise. Number 4. Skills without systems produce income, not wealth. You can become extraordinarily skilled at your job. You can be the best accountant, the best designer, the best technician in your entire city. And if you never build a system that earns, beyond your personal effort, you will earn and stop. Earn and stop. Earn and stop. The skill produces income. The system produces wealth. A doctor who sees patients earns based on patients seen. A doctor who builds a practice earns based on the practice running. Picture this: two consultants with identical skills. One charges by the hour. The other packages their knowledge into a course, a product, or a licensing deal. The first person earns while working. The second earns while sleeping. Skill is the foundation. Without a system built on top, the foundation just sits there. Number 5. The raise does not change the math. The gap does. Most people believe a higher income will eventually solve their financial problems. It will not. Research consistently shows that as income rises, lifestyle spending rises at nearly the same rate. More income, more car, more income, more house, more income, more of everything. The gap between what you earn and what you keep is the only number that builds wealth, not income. The gap. Picture this: a person earning $40,000 a year, who saves 15%, is building a wealth gap. A person earning $120,000, who saves 2%, is building a lifestyle. One is moving toward freedom. The other is moving toward a more expensive version of the same financial stress they started with. Income impresses people. The gap retires them. Drop in the comments which one of these is hitting closest to home so far. What we are covering right now goes deeper than most people ever discover on their own. Everything beyond this point, the strategies, the frameworks, the actual numbers, we go further inside the Luxona vault. Link is below if you want in. Now let us keep going. Number 6. Your network determines your net worth more than your effort. Most high-paying opportunities are never posted publicly. They move through relationships, through referrals, through proximity. The person who gets promoted is not always the hardest worker in the room. They are often the most visible and most connected. Picture this: two people with identical resumes. One spends evenings watching television. The other spends evenings in rooms with people who are further along than they are. 5 years later, one is still applying for jobs. The other is being offered positions they did not know existed. Hard work is entry level. Your network is the multiplier. Number 7. Credentials are not leverage. Ownership is. You are told to go to school, get the degree, get the certification, climb the ladder that the credential unlocks. But the credential is not the asset. The credential earns you access to someone else's asset. Ownership is the asset. The person who builds a rental property earns, whether they are awake or asleep. The person who earns a degree earns only when actively working. Picture this: two people graduate the same year. One invests in index funds and a rental property over a decade. The other spends those same dollars on a bigger apartment and a newer car. Both worked hard. One built equity, one built a lifestyle. Equity pays you when you stop working. Lifestyle charges you even when you do not. Credentials open rooms, ownership builds them. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. Number 8. Hard work is visible in jobs. Wealth is built in silence. People see you arrive early. People see you stay late. Your effort is witnessed, recognized, and rewarded in the currency of promotions and praise. But wealth does not work that way. Wealth is built in decisions nobody sees. The decision to not upgrade the car this year. The decision to invest the bonus instead of spending it. The decision to live in the smaller house. While the portfolio compounds quietly in the background, Nobody applauds that. But the math does not care about applause. Picture this: two neighbors. One drives a new luxury vehicle and works 80 hours a week. The other drives a 7-year-old sedan and contributes the maximum to their retirement account. At 60 years old, one has a beautiful car payment history. The other has a 7-figure net worth. Wealth is not what people see you doing. Wealth is what happens when nobody is watching. Number 9. The wrong financial behavior cancels every hour you work. You can work 50 hours a week for 30 years and cancel nearly all of it with one pattern: consumer debt. A car payment of $500 a month for 10 years is $60,000 spent on an asset that loses value every single day. That is not just $60,000. That is $60,000 that did not go into an index fund. Invested over 20 years at average market returns, that grows into something close to $200,000. One car payment habit, $200,000 of future wealth erased. Hard work created the income. The behavior destroyed the outcome. Picture this: two people, same salary for 15 years. One carries a car payment, a credit card balance, and a personal loan the entire time. The other drives a paid-off car and invests the difference every month. At year 15, their net worths are not close. They are not even in the same conversation. Behavior is not the soft part of wealth building. Behavior is the entire game. Number 10. Hard work builds an income. Identity builds a future. Here is the deepest layer. Most people work hard to earn more money, but they have never decided what kind of person they are becoming through the process. They earn without a system. They save without a target. They work without a philosophy. And so the years pass. The income rises. The net worth does not, because the identity never shifted. The person who builds lasting wealth does not just work harder. They begin to see themselves differently. As someone who builds instead of buys. As someone who owns instead of borrows. As someone who defers short-term comfort in exchange for long-term freedom. That shift is not a financial strategy. It is a personal one. And it is the one thing no raise, no promotion, and no amount of extra hours can create for you. You have to choose it. But none of this is really about hard work. Hard work is just the surface. The real question was never how much you were willing to work. The real question is what you believed the work was for. Most people were handed a story early in life. Work hard, get paid, pay your bills, repeat. That story is not wrong. It is just incomplete. The people who build real wealth rewrote it. They decided the goal was not to earn enough to survive the month. The goal was to build enough to stop trading time for money entirely. That decision happens in the mind before it happens in the bank account. And once it happens, everything changes. The raise does not get spent. The bonus does not become a vacation. The paid-off car does not get replaced with payments. The behavior follows the belief, and the wealth follows the behavior. If you made it here, you are already thinking differently than most people who clicked away at number 4. That is not a small thing. Hard work without strategy is a treadmill. You move, you sweat, you stay exactly where you are. But hard work with the right behavior, the right identity, and the right compounding system becomes something else entirely. It becomes freedom. The next video takes this further. Wealth is not loud. It is disciplined. It is intentional. It is built daily. Welcome to Luxona, where millionaires are made.